With Valentine's Day right around the corner, I thought we would do the food of love, featuring today's prime ingredient, chocolate. Okay, so for today we are going to make our chocolate board, but I want to show you how to make the most delicious chocolate ganache truffles. And it's so super simple that you would why haven't I done this before? And so I'm going to show you. But first I want to talk to you about the prime ingredient. This is my favorite guittared chocolate. I met a couple of sales reps from Guittared Chocolate in like 1999, 2000 at a trade show, and they gave me a load of chocolate to try a bunch of their different levels of cocoa, and it was so much fun to just taste all the different chocolates. But today we're using a semi-sweet Guittared chocolate. We also need half a stick of Kerrygold butter. It's going to be 4 ounces that we need, so it's like half of that container, okay, or 1 stick of another unsalted butter of your choice. We need some heavy cream, a little less, about 1/3 of a cup, and then Grand Marnier. Now, if you don't want Grand Marnier, you can leave it out, but it really gives a nice flavor to it. You can also use Chambord, which will give it more of a raspberry flavor. This Grand Marnier is going to give it an orange flavor. You can use Frangelico, you could use brandy, you could use bourbon, whatever you like, but it's going to give a really good flavor. So the first thing we have to do is measure out 8 ounces of chocolate. And there's not a whole lot of times when I use a measuring thing, but this is one of those times, especially for these truffles. You want to get it pretty precise. So we want 8 ounces of this delicious semi-sweet, and we are right about there. And we're going to add 1/3 of a cup of heavy cream. Okay, make sure it's heavy cream. You got to go for the full fat. The reason why you do the full fat is because fat is a friend of chocolate, whereas liquid or water is not. Water will seize the chocolate, but the fat in heavy cream and again in the butter that we're using will help to smooth it out, and it gets that really beautiful kind of sheen on it, and it's just so fantastic. So now that this is all put together, I'm going to pop this in the microwave oven, and I'm going to stir it every 30 seconds, and it's going to take about 1.5 minutes to melt completely. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, can you see this glistening chocolate? Oh, I just want to drink it. It's so yummy. All right, what I'm gonna do, actually, let me add the Grand Marnier. This is where I kind of just guess. It's is that a couple tablespoons? But you really want to get that flavor in there, and you'll see that the consistency will start to kind of change a little bit of your chocolate. And don't worry about it because we're going to add butter. And you don't want it completely cold, nor do you want it melted. You want it kind of in between that softened kind of stage there, and let the chocolate melt the butter, okay? So this has to happen very quickly after you get the chocolate out of the microwave. You put the Grand Marnier, you put the chocolate, and you stir and blend until the butter is completely melted. And then you put it in the refrigerator. You can do it overnight if you want to, but you definitely want to get it to a point where your ganache is completely solid, so it's solidified, okay? And then it'll make scooping out your truffles even easier. If you want to cheat a little hack for you, you can put it in the freezer, but monitor it carefully, at least once every half hour to make sure that it's not changing in funky consistencies, okay? But it should take about 1 hour to 1 hour and 15 minutes if you put it in the freezer, but don't leave it in there overnight, okay? So I caution against it unless you're really, really paying attention to it. While this is melting in here, and again, this is getting beautiful and glistening, and it's got such a sheen, it's so wonderful. But if you are using semi-sweet chocolate, which is what I would recommend, you want to do the recipe as I'm suggesting. But if you're using milk chocolate, you will use a little bit less butter. So instead of 4 ounces of butter or 1 stick of butter, you'll use maybe 3/4 of a stick of butter, all right? So that you don't have as much of the fat in there, because milk chocolate has more fat and more milk, so you don't need as much of the butter. Okay, this is melting beautifully. I'm going to keep on turning this around and then get that in the refrigerator, and then I'm going to show you how to roll your truffles into cocoa powder. Okay, so now that your ganache is nice and cooled, you're going to scoop little balls of chocolate onto a parchment-lined sheet pan, and we'll see how many we make. It's probably going to be about 20, which is good for me, and then we'll see if anybody else wants any. Once you've made these into little balls like this, you're going to refrigerate them and then take them out again, and we're going to roll them into cocoa powder, which I have at the ready here. Now what we're going to do, once these have been refrigerated for a second time, we're going to roll them with gloved hands in a little bit of unsweetened cocoa powder. And I don't use Dutch process for this. I like to just use the regular cocoa powder. It's not as sweet, and it's not mixed with the alkaline. But if you want, you can use Dutch process too. It's going to be a little deeper, darker in color, but I kind of like this cocoa powder the best for truffles. It gives a little bite, a little bit of tannin before you take a bite of that beautiful ganache. Okay? Once these are all rolled up like this and dipped in the cocoa powder, I'm going to put them in little parchment cups, and then we're ready to plate the chocolate board. Pretty easy. I can smell the Grand Marnier. Okay, the truffles are rolled and they're ready for plating. So this is my chocolate board. This is the second go around of our charcuterie board, but today it's going to be for chocolate. And the first thing I want to do is just fan out a couple of strawberries. Look at these. Look at these babies. They're incredible. So I'm just going to take a couple of slices from this strawberry and give it a little fan. Just add a little color on the chocolate board, because you know you want to have a little bit of color. Okay, we'll just do 2 for right now. And for the board, here's what we have. Okay, so these are some of my favorite chocolates. So this is Ritter Sport, and this is milk chocolate with hazelnuts, and I am a huge fan of hazelnuts. Definitely a Nutella lover for sure. And like I mentioned before, you want to anchor your charcuterie board, and we're going to anchor it here with the Ritter Sport. And then let's do this one. This is the berry cocoa bean chocolate, and I like this because it has a real mild flavor, a little bit on the white chocolate, but a little berry flavor as well. And this is dark chocolate crunch. These are really good too. I just love to have a little crunch in my chocolates right there, so I'm going to keep that right there. And then, oh, this one's really good. This is a milk chocolate with waffle cone. I mean, that is just key right there, and we're going to put that right here. And let's see. How about, have you had these Pocky sticks? I'm telling you, they are delicious. They're a little chocolate chip biscuit, and they're so good. And we're going to just put one right there, and a little bit more right here. Let's do the chocolate in first. Okay, I'll put one right over there. And then you just fill in the board as you go. I have some Maraschino Cherries. I thought that would be kind of cool. And this would be a lovely setup next to a cheese board as well. So you can have the chocolate and the cheese. This is wonderful for Valentine's Day. And then these are lacy cookies, and you can just platter them here with the Ritter Sport, and then again for some color, we'll add a little heart, Be Mine, and Cutie Pie, and some little packaged chocolates as well. These are chocolate cookie wafers, and it's always nice to have a cracker on your boards like this, and so this is the version, a cookie version of a cracker. Oh, let me tell you about this. This is chocolate halva. In Arabic we say halewe, and it is chocolate flavored sesame candy, and it's like you take tahini and you put sugar in it and press it really hard, and it makes this most amazing melt in your mouth dessert. And the way we eat it in my household is we just take a chunk and so good. I'm gonna put that right there. And then of course a nod to my mom, chocolate honeycomb, dark chocolate honeycomb. This was her favorite. Every time we went to May Company, and I'm kind of dating myself now, we would stop off at Moro's Nut House and pick up a couple of pieces of dark chocolate honeycomb, and every time I see it, I have to get it, and I think of my mom. Okay, so I'm going to add my prime ingredient, guitarred chocolate truffles now. And I'm going to just put them all around so they have a presence everywhere on the chocolate board. And after I put a few there, I'm going to add the strawberries for flavor. I have some white chocolate too that I might just sprinkle on top, you know, just for a little extra confetti on the board. And let me just lay some of these strawberries like right here. And we'll put another one over here. And then just get a little mound of white chocolate to fill in the board. And it looks just lush and plush, and who wouldn't want to dig right into this board? I know I would. Chocolate is my favorite. It is the food of love, and for sure, for your Valentine's Day, you want to make a beautiful board just like this. So, next time on The Prime Ingredient, we'll show you some more fun tricks. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you again soon.